Welcome to the BMI Podcast, guys. Today we have a special guest, Rowan Robinson. Is that right?
That's right.
That's right, yeah. Thanks for coming today, man, honestly. I definitely think having you on would be good for the listeners to get a look into, I guess, a space not much people are talking about.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we, in the era of trying to give away information and knowledge to people, I think a lot of listeners will be able to soak up some information from you. So I guess give us a little bit of a background on yourself. So we're currently doing some work together, trying to piece together a deal, but you do some land development.
Yeah, so my background is I've been in the development space for, this is my 20th year. I started renovating and flipping houses when I was 18. Not in a commercial way, I still had a job, but started small.
The Kiwi way, right?
Just the Kiwi way. Yeah. Just, I bought my first house and had mates who were builders and plumbers, and they came and lived with me. And it was like, hey, cheap rent. You're gonna help me reno on the weekends, boys. We're building decks.
The golden age where
the golden age.
Was it cashies?
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So started there. Worked. Had a day job. Worked in sales, and then the Christchurch earthquakes happened. Which obviously wasn't a great time for Canterbury as a whole. Yeah. But there was a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. What was that like initially, like when that first happened? Because I remember it was, there was a lot of people fleeing, right? Like, and just a lot of old businesses, brick and mortar stores, that they kind of moved out of that area.
Gone. We went from, I had a brand new baby, like brand new, like earthquakes were rattling while she was being born. So
wow,
we were already in a very different period of our life to start then, but we lost, basically all of our central business hub. All of the businesses were gone. No one knew if they had jobs. It was a very, very weird time. It was very unusual. Luckily, I still managed to retain my job, and long story short, just pestered about a developer who I knew.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to learn how to be a developer. I like what you're doing. I want to live this life.
Yeah.
How you live is how I want to live.
How did you come across this guy? Was he around you when you were growing up, or
no? So that's actually a good question. I knew him through mutual people.
Yeah.
Luckily, eventually he kind of just
gave into your persistence.
Gave in.
Yeah.
I was working for Vodafone at the time, and I was working as a BDM, so I was actually out of office.
Oh, yeah.
And what I was doing is I was actually working out of his office. So I was learning how to do property at the same time as I was working for Vodafone.
Yeah.
Eventually, someone dobbed me in.
And Vodafone?
To Vodafone. And they weren't very happy about it. And their response was, well, if you think you can do better, off you go.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh, you were trying to, what is it, active working, where you're trying to do two jobs?
I was trying to do both, and I didn't want to get caught.
Yeah.
So ended up, they were like, look, if you think you can go and do this property thing, we suggest you go and do it, because you're not going to be doing both.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Yeah. And by then, did you soak up enough information from him, or
Yeah.
So they helped you. They funded your schooling.
Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah. So then what happened is he actually took off and went to Norway to chase a woman, and he left me to run his property company while he was gone. And one of the old boys in Christchurch, who was pretty well known for being a pretty big funder at the time, was his funder.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, "Where is?" I won't use his name because people know who he is. Where is X? And I was like, he's currently over in Norway. And he's like, well, who's running the company? I was like, well, I am. And he's like, cool. All right.
Yep.
So I kind of got handed the reins of the property company. Did fine.
Yeah.
Didn't lose money. Didn't probably make money. But
But you probably had a bunch of learning in that period.
Amounts,
like
huge.
Yeah. Which is pretty lucky to be able to be handed something like that to
incredible. And it was I definitely wasn't qualified to do it at the time. But his desire to go and chase this girl was more than his desire to the property business.
Yeah.
And from there, I started bringing in building materials from China.
Yep.
So started basically doing prefabricated dwellings, minor dwellings like sleep outs and stuff like that.
Sort of like modular homes, or
Yeah, kind of like modular homes,
the ones
but
that fit into the
yeah,
containers?
minorities.
Oh,
Yeah, so just small little sheds, nothing impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of did that, and then we kind of just grew the business from there, and went from that to like I was paying guys to put foundations in, and I was like, well, I can probably put a foundation, and I can figure that out.
Yeah.
And then we kind of just started from there, and then we bought gear, and then sort of just grew the business slowly over time, and then became, we were doing main contracting for other group housing businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we started doing our own developments. So we'd buy a block of land, and then we'd chop it, take the house off, and put 4 other houses on it, and went from there. And I thought, man, this is easy. I'm killing it.
Yeah.
Became a pretty big consultant to the insurance companies. We're picking up a lot of the insurance work.
Oh, really? Just for mediation, fixing?
For a lot of like mediation between clients and builders is like the mediating point.
Yep.
Which then turned into us doing a lot of the contract works. So we started doing demolition work.
Oh, wow.
And then started slowly pushing down that retail kind of construction path.
And was this at the same time that you were doing developments as well? Or?
Yeah, so we were doing both sort of simultaneously with the intention. Well, my plan then was that I was going to become a group home builder. I wanted to be the next Stonewood or Mike Greer, or the plan was to build the business out and eventually move into that group housing space.
Mm-hmm.
I eventually realised that I hate construction and I hate dealing with people.
Yeah.
On a like, that sounds terrible.
Hey, mate, clients pay the bills, bro.
Not clients. I love clients. I love the money. I realised that in the construction side, that ultimately the client comes to me to build the house. I have to hold your hand for 9 months to make 50K.
Yeah.
It's a lot of admin.
Yeah.
And you want to make a change to the bathroom. You want to change the colour. You don't like the roof pitch.
With no variations.
With no variations.
Well, you had it, yeah.
So I sort of realised pretty quickly that that wasn't the path that I wanted to continue down. And although we were doing it quite successfully, that it just wasn't the future.
Yeah. I don't want to interrupt, but you make a good point. When it comes to the housing, a lot of people think that the housing groups are killing it, and they're running on really small margins, and all it takes is a few little mistakes and whatnot, and they're in the red. And with the people that are out there going, he's a builder, he's creaming it. There's a lot of onus, and like you're saying, you've got to hold their hands, you've got to get them to the end of the project, and you kind of also are playing. Just trying to keep them calm if there's any delays or anything like that, because we're in New Zealand, there's almost always delays. But yeah, sorry, I just thought that was a good point.
Yeah, no, it's correct. Like a lot of the group housing companies are only working on 8 to 12% margin on total build cost, and they've still got to pay for taxes and GST. Like, they're not killing it. Yeah. Like, that's why you see a lot of these building companies who are in liquidation. By the time they pay for their franchise fees, they pay for all the admin costs, the show homes, they're not killing it. Like,
they're doing well, like and they've
got
a good system in place. If they've got good systems in place, they can be doing well. But they have to self feed, right? They have to constantly pump out houses. Yeah,
got to have land.
Yeah.
If you work out, they probably make 50,000 clean. I've got a good friend who's a builder, and that's kind of what I know he makes clean. And they build, say, 50 to 60 houses a year, pretty much every year, pretty consistently. Hey, it's a great business.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm not going to sit here and say that making $2.5 to $3 million a year is not a great business. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But
with what goes alongside
it. And for me, it was always about the growth.
Yeah.
And how do I create something that has a tangible value outside of me? And for me, that wasn't being a group home builder. I'm not a builder. Yeah. You wouldn't want me building a kit set table, let alone standing frames on a house.
So you made the right decision.
So I made the right decision. So I pushed out sideways, and went very, very heavily in land. And luckily had a pretty good business mentor who was a very, very good land developer. And basically from, what am I now? For the last 10 years, we've been pretty exclusively land developers. We've done a few multi-unit deals. I had a partnership in Canterbury with some guys that went south, but we did some multi-unit stuff when everybody else was running in the market.
Yeah.
But we preferred the land side. So we were buying the land, settling it, selling it. So just trading. To now we're basically exclusively land.
Yeah.
I was told a very good saying. It was actually from my grandfather, was that God's always creating more people, but he's not creating more land.
True.
And
especially here in New Zealand too, being so small.
Correct. Where, we only have a finite amount of places you can actually develop.
Yeah.
Look at Hamilton right now with water care.
Yeah.
There's so many issues generated by this council. They've basically now made it impossible. Perfect example is you and I right now.
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to buy the exact same size section just down the road for the same price, you'd buy it, right?
Yeah.
But you can't.
Yeah.
So then you're, I don't like using this word, somewhat forced.
Yeah, forced to move outside.
What you may usually want to do.
Yeah.
Which is great for me.
Yeah.
Perfect,
that's how it works though, right? Like, unfortunately, like with the outskirts, they do get fed when this sort of stuff happens. And like, I guess you guys got ahead of it a little bit, or you're
very much
capitalizing on it. But it's not only that, you're also doing it for a purpose because there isn't a supply here.
Correct.
Yeah.
And affordability.
Yeah.
We hit the two things that everyone wanted, which was supply at the right time.
Yeah.
And the price point at the right time.
Yeah.
Which was basically, to be honest, we just cracked both things at the right time. No one else had supply. We came online with supply. And we hit the right price point, which is shown by the fact that we've just crushed pre-sales. We're, I think now under contract, I think we're nearly 75%, 80%.
Oh, awesome.
And you've been to site where we're only just putting terraces in now. We're sort of 3-4 weeks into earthworks.
Yeah. Out of a 9 months.
We'll have 9
9
months.
to 10 months.
9 months.
Yep.
Yeah, which will be pretty quick for the Waikato.
Yep.
But these are tricks that we've learnt as a team over 20 years of experience.
Yes.
We know how to speed things up,
and
we know where we can get the speed and efficiencies.
Yeah. And you talked about in chats between us previously, planning. Like, I think you had a bit of a planning background with chopping up land and stuff. So like, did you come into that, or was it a thing that you picked up because you wanted to learn more about it?
I've got so I always tell people I have a planning background, but I'm not qualified.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to, I had no capital.
Yeah.
Like, I'm probably an example of a Michael Wilson type person who had all of the desire, but none of the skill. But
sorry, Michael, poor bastard.
No, he's incredible. I love Mike. Mike is one of my mates, but like, it's more like, someone who goes through that system of his course where they have the desire, they know they want to learn, but they don't have the capital, but they have all the desire.
Yeah.
So I had all the spare time and I couldn't afford to go to a planner and pay $500 an hour.
Yeah.
So I had to go and figure it out.
Yeah.
So
learn the district code and
learn it all. So that's why I stuck to Canterbury, because I knew it back to front. I was an expert. And then I ended up in a relationship with a planner.
Yep.
And her family had a very, very deep base of experience in the planning industry. Her father was a planner, commissioner for the RMA.
Oh, yeah.
Had all the books, so it was great. I used to go there and I just sit there and just read and read and read and read. And to be honest, I learned a lot from her.
Mm-hmm.
Having an expert in your house is great, because every time you got a problem,
you can pick their brain.
You just pick their brain. Yeah. And eventually over time, I learned the loopholes and this is how we can do this, and we can move. And
what you can
and
present to
interpretation.
get across the line. Yeah, because with planning, it's an interesting one, eh? Like it's almost like you're putting together your package, your sales pitch, and be like, will you accept this sort of thing?
Yep.
Granted, we're meeting all of these criteria and whatnot.
Yeah, well, I've always said it's all about interpretation.
Yeah.
The RMA and the resource consenting processes for councils, it's all interpretation.
Yeah.
And it's not the problem, and this is a massive industry problem, is that someone on the council may interpret it one way.
Mm-hmm.
I may interpret it a different way. Someone else in the council may interpret it a completely different way, but my consultants could interpret it a completely different way as well.
Yeah.
So then it's about trying to create this picture where we get what we need to make it economically viable to produce an asset that we could sell, because of, we're not a charity.
Yeah.
But council want to be able to cover their own ass, because they don't want to be in the trouble with their, constituents and people complaining, why have you let these guys come in here and chop this land up?
Yeah.
So it's all about creating a picture, and it's not what people think.
Yeah.
When they think of property development.
Yeah.
They think supercars. They think business class flights.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They think Rolexes. They think, really, they don't think past that and start looking at, there's a huge amount of intricacy involved.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even understand how much it costs just to move, 5 or 6 tons of dirt. They actually don't even know that small little bit. And how many cubic tons are you moving a day, you were saying?
We're moving 5,000 cube a day.
A day. And if you probably try to go and look to get someone to do a trench for you in your backyard, you'll figure out how expensive it is to move dirt, especially here in New Zealand.
It's a lot. As a quantifiable number, we move $1 million of diesel a year.
It's crazy. Just diesel.
Just diesel.
Yeah.
Just diesel.
Yeah. And then you talked about being in Canterbury and knowing that like the back of your hand. What was that like going through that? Was there a lot of competition when you first started up, or what was the landscape like there, especially after that earthquake? Like, did you lose some big hitters, or maybe did that strengthen them even more?
I think Christchurch is pretty well known for being controlled by the mafia, so to speak, of property.
Yeah.
Look, you can look at Canterbury as a whole. A lot of big boy developers have come out of Christchurch. Williams Corporation, very big, large multi-unit development company.
Yep.
Wolfbrook, one of the best. So many.
Yeah. Then there's a few guys that have just been around for that long.
And they've just been around. All of the land guys in Canterbury are 50, 60-year-old white dudes who have been doing it forever. And they don't want any more. That's it. They're happy.
Yeah.
They control the market. They don't want young guys to be in there. We, as a family trust, kind of snuck in the side.
Yeah.
By doing, little 50, 60 lots. We were never a major competition, but we were.
Yeah, no,
we were there. We were there.
Decent chunk.
We were, we were plugging away. We weren't chasing massive deals. We just wanted to be consistent year on year. We had no dreams of trying to take on the big guys. And then I partnered with one of the big guys. I had a pretty big deal, and that was where, the trajectory of the business really changed for us. Systems and processes you just learn with time. Yeah. And I kind of arrogantly at the time thought I was the man. Yeah. I definitely was not the man.
Yeah. It's funny when you're younger, right? Like the inflated head, how you start having a little bit of success, and then you start learning there's levels to this shit, even like me meeting you as well. Like it's like, everyone sort of, we're all on our own journey and we're just trying to slightly level up. Yeah. But it's just those little bits where you go, okay, I can do more. But it's also good to be there and witness those with those big guys, right? And
100%.
And see, oh shit, that's possible.
Oh, 100%. And it's all systems and processes. Yeah. And what I've learned from my time is that it's all about network. 12 months ago, I came to Auckland. In the 12 months prior to that, I had heart failure. I died. I had my business partners rip me off for $6.5 million. My partner at the time left me, took the other half of my shit, and I literally flew to Auckland.
Yeah.
I left the house and I rang Stephen.
Yeah.
And I said to him, book me a flight to Auckland, I'm coming. Because I'd always said I was going to move. I was always going to come.
Yeah.
I showed up in Auckland with nothing but my suitcase. I had a carry-on suitcase of stuff.
Yeah. Crazy.
And I restarted again.
Yeah.
So in that 12 months, has gone from, I couldn't access any of my stuff.
Yeah.
I was in relationship property court.
Yeah. Okay.
Blocked
yeah.
from everything.
Yeah.
Couldn't touch a single asset. Had everyone turn on me with my ex-business partners because they just
decided to move on.
Well,
Well, just something happened.
People switch up.
Yep.
And yeah, I came here with nothing and then rebuilt the business to where it is now. And in the next 12 months, we'll do probably close to 850 lots of sections. And then pipelined
Is
at least on a
that
700.
scattered off in different areas sort of thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
because I mean, we've got the one that we met through was
that's in Taumunu. That's 141.
140. Yep.
And then we've got another in a different vehicle. So not everything we do, I do it in different partnership groups, which I've learned from experience. It's just a way for us as a trust to isolate our risk.
Yeah.
But the other one that we're currently partnering in is 600 lots.
Oh wow.
Which is a pretty good deal.
Oh, awesome.
And then we've also got the Augustus apartment project, which you've seen
in Auckland. Yep.
Yeah, in Auckland, which is something a little bit different. But
yeah, cool. Is that your first time doing a sort of a development like that, or
first time? But it's an amazing project. It's really, really incredible.
Yeah. Are you partnered up with someone who's done them before? Like
no.
Oh yeah.
No.
So you're both. Everyone's learning right now.
Everyone's learning. We're on a journey.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So
hopefully you don't learn some hard stuff, but you learn the good stuff.
Yeah, I think what I've learned is that by having the right contractors and consultants around, it keeps you very safe.
Yeah.
You know, we're a pretty hefty company now. We're not sort of isolated, where it was quite easy for people in the past to kind of come in and try and bully and push you around. Whereas now we're kind of a pretty well-respected force in the industry that, you know, there's not many people through this time that can say that not only did they survive, they actually grew.
Well, you're probably not afraid to spend on consultants as well. Like I feel like when you're in the growing stages, it's hard because you're like trying to figure it out. But do you have the money that you can to allocate toward those consultants that will keep you in the green?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been lucky. We had a lot of vendors who were pretty supportive. You know, they realised that the market wasn't great, so we got good deals. We bought at the right time. You know, we've had good, amazing bank support. Our funders have just been incredible through this time. Investors have been great. We've had a great pool of investors who have just stuck with us for, you know, ultimately for their own reasons as much as mine.
They wouldn't stay with you if you weren't returning for them, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Which
so
is,
it's a
relationship
result.
that you
Correct. So, you know, they stayed because it was obviously viable for them. It was good. But, you know, we went through a time of 2 years. People forget we went 2 years. We didn't sell basically a single thing. We told nothing.
Was that just groundwork sort of thing, or getting
the market
things
just
in
stopped?
places?
The market's just stopped.
Yeah.
So we sat on a huge amount of stock.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm sure there were some jittery people there, just scared and worried and trying to get out. But
it was crazy. Yeah. We had to go and fight lenders. I've been in high courts trying to fight people, trying to stop fucking liquidations from going through.
Yeah.
Just
hold out. You know,
keep waiting, keep fight. You know, we've spent the best part, you know, of 24 months just scrapping.
Yeah.
And it's nice now that we're starting to see a little bit of traction coming back to the market. But, you know, this game's not for everyone. And I think a lot of people from a mental health point of view don't realise the sacrifices you have to make in this industry.
Yeah, well, that's actually like my next question. Is that around the health and the stress. Like, you're dealing with high value projects, a lot of money. You're dealing with different lenders and whatnot, and then also having your heart issue. Like like how have you been dealing with that and just trying to stay on top of that, because health is wealth, right? Like that's a part of my podcast,
100%.
and I think it's something that people need to understand. You can't have one. You can be successful as you want. All it takes is that, and you probably went through that, right?
100%. I literally came out of ICU.
Yeah.
I came out of surgery. Within 36 hours, I was back on my phone. And with chest drains in.
Is that wise, mate?
No, it was terrible. With an external pacemaker on, controlling my heart, stopping me from dying, on my phone, dealing with work problems, yelling, just fizzing.
Yeah.
Because my whole life was dedicated to my company.
Yeah.
Terribly unhappy. Like, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But my priorities were so out of whack. I was talking to my daughter's mother last night, and she was like, the problem that I had was that everything was designed around property. I only wanted to talk about property. My hobby was property.
Yeah.
I worked on property. It was all I did.
Yeah.
I was just singular focus that's all I was doing. That all I cared about was property. And then
and then obviously the health starts.
Correct. And I was very unwell. Like, my heart failed while I was in hospital after the surgery, and I was told that I may not make it through the night. And I sat there and went, fuck, what have I got?
Yeah.
Like, I probably haven't been as attentive a father as I probably should have been.
Shit, was it like sort of those sort of thoughts coming in while you're sitting there and going like, fuck?
I was told I may not make it.
Yeah.
They said you need to call your family. You need to get them in here.
Oh wow.
And I was like, no, I'm just gonna mentally raw dog my way out of it. I'm just too ignorant to die. And
or die trying.
Yeah. But I sat there and all those things start rattling through your brain. I haven't always been a good person. I've done a lot of things wrong. I regret it. And then those things start to play on your mind a wee bit. And then I got out of the surgery, and then obviously went through it and got home, and that was fine. But I blew up. I got up to 114 kilos, and I'm not a big frame boy. I was hefty.
Yeah.
I was chucking
Was
around
that
some
after
kegs.
your heart condition as well?
Yeah, that was after.
That would definitely have not have helped.
Well, because of the surgery, because my metabolism basically turned to zero.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do anything. So I just blew up, and then got the surgery, and then now I've ripped all the weight back down again. But I certainly realised that the stress and the health, you don't get it back.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be, for me, property is great, but it's only a vehicle for me to be able to enjoy my life.
Yeah.
I want to be able to spend time with my daughter. She's 14, she's nearly 15 years old. And every year, and I'm fucking mean it, every year I went, next year I'll take more time off. Next year I'll take more time off. I'll be able to spend time with her next year. I'll spend more time with her next year.
Yeah.
Mate, she's an adult now. She's 15 years old. I'm lucky she still loves the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But it's gone.
Yeah.
The time's like gone.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, we've had some incredible times. Like her and I went to the Melbourne for the Formula One, which I wouldn't have been able to do if it wasn't for property. But like, there's a balance.
Yeah.
And what I've realised now is that, for me, on the journey that I'm on now, with the trust and building it as its own sort of strategic partnership vehicle for basically overseas internationals to invest in, to be able to grow the business, it's the exit for me.
Yeah.
I'm 38.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to go and enjoy my kid.
Yeah.
She could have a grandchild in 5 years. I want to be able to enjoy that.
Yeah.
I want to be able to go out and enjoy those things. I don't want to be stressed. I don't want to be unhealthy. I want to be able to run around. I want to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Like, I don't know if I've actually told you, because I used to weigh 130 kgs, so I used to be a real fat bastard. Yes, I sort of similar thing. A lot of my listeners that listen, they know, like, that's part of why I do this podcast for entrepreneurship, cycle body, mind, and health, and integrity. Like, it's around the entrepreneurship, but also keeping health at the forefront for me. And I always thought, oh well, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll get my health in check when I was, when I made my millions. Yeah, it's all good. And then all of a sudden, boom, I hadn't weighed myself for that long, and then I weigh myself. I think it was the most I saw on the scale was like 127 kgs or something like that, and that sort of hits you, and you go, shit. It doesn't mean nothing when you're kind of puffed and you can't do anything, and
it's horrible.
Yeah, and it's I'm sorry you went through that, but like maybe it's something you had to go through to realize you might have kept going even worse if you didn't get that sort of that shock to yourself.
100%. Oh, and I would have. Everyone that knows me knows I'm 130 miles an hour.
You're almost putting you're guaranteed to put yourself into the dirt.
Oh, 100%. You know, I work very, very hard. You know, I split myself across different partnerships and different projects, you know, plus the advisory business, plus everything else that we do as a trust, because I love it.
Yeah.
But you can't sustain running that hard forever. You can't sprint a marathon.
Yeah.
And even now I'm probably a little bit prone to doing it, but I also know that the race is kind of towards the last now. We're kind of we have good partnerships. We have good relationships to consultants. Like we've kind of built the puzzle now that it's kind of like we can plug and play. Like when I walk in, right, and I show you the loan offer.
Yeah.
Like we kind of have the system now.
Yeah. Well, you're excited too, right? And you can sort of see that it's within your grasp of maybe clawing a bit of your time back, and then you can also maybe think about how you can look into the next level of your health as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what it is for me now. So for me, I'm really big on mental health. I struggle with it.
Yeah.
A lot of that's probably self-imposed.
Yeah, but people need to hear that though as well. Like it's with going through what you're doing, that high level stuff, right? It's people just think it's all, you know, what is it? Roses and bloody
and champagne
and champagne
and supercars on the weekends.
Yeah.
It's not. It's sleepless nights.
Yeah.
It's 6 a.m. phone calls with partners. We had $1 million problem today when we woke up. That's why I was up here so early.
Yeah,
which is fine. We fixed it, but
that's just a part of that. Yeah,
and don't get me wrong. I chose this.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with my father today that, he's like, you look stressed. I'm like, well, I am.
Yeah.
But I also chose this. And 20 years ago, this is the stress I wanted. I wanted to be here.
I actually tell my mates that all the time.
I can't complain.
Because you used to wish for it.
I wished for this.
Yeah.
So I don't get to complain.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and deal with it because it's just a muscle and I'll work through it. I always have.
Yeah.
Ups and downs. High court cases here, there, everywhere.
I don't know if that's something you want to be bragging about, but
no, it's definitely not. But it's a reality of the industry. It's not
experience.
It's experience, and it's not everything's rose tinted glasses. Our max debt as an investment trust in the next 12 months is probably going to peak at somewhere close to $250 million as one vehicle, as a family trust that's controlled as an entity.
Crazy.
It's a lot of money. I used to lose sleep over $1 million,
Yeah.
So it's taken a lot of, going back to the mental health stuff, you've got to learn your coping strategies. You've got to learn how to deal with the pressure, the stress.
Yeah.
Because it's not just me. It's my partners, pair of families. They've got kids and partners, mums and dads. The contractors have wives, kids. We're feeding a lot of people. We're not just a small operation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mouths now, like including construction, all the consultants and contractors, it's not unrealistic to think there's 350, 400 plus people that, probably rely on getting paid to.
Awesome, man. Like that's something to be proud of too, I think. Like that's something, it's a weird thing. Like it's a lot of pressure. It's something I actually aspire to. I want to be able to provide for that many mouths. You know what I mean?
That's
like
amazing.
something like that. It's a nice feeling. You're like, okay, sweet. The shit that I've built is actually helping so many families or so many people.
Yeah.
Like that. They're like, congrats, bro. Like that's awesome, man.
That's why I also love doing subdivisions.
Yeah.
Like Te Awamutu needs affordable housing. and to be able...
New Zealand.
Well, New Zealand needs it, but, I came from a single parent house. I grew up very poor. Like, people can look at me now and go, you don't deserve what you have and blah, 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 and rich kid, daddy's money. Mate, I came from a single parent household in the east of Christchurch. We had such little money, we used to go through horse carrot bags to find carrots we could eat.
Crazy.
I didn't come from money. Like,
Yeah.
I've worked very, very hard to get to where I am. And the biggest thrill for me is seeing people who may have not gotten into a property get into a home.
Yeah.
The single mum, the hard-working couple, just the average everyday guy who just needs a fucking break compared to the fucking majority of asshole fucking developers who just want to rinse every last dollar out of a deal.
It's heartbreaking to see because that's their life savings, like a lot of people.
Their whole life.
Yeah, and they get taken advantage of on the last settlement. They were like, oh, by the way, there's all of these add-ons. There were, especially a lot of the developers, the housing groups, they will add on, oh, your earthworks was this much of a dig out and there's an extra 25 grand and you need to pay that before you settle. When I was selling houses in real estate, it's hard to see that sort of stuff. It's ruthless,
Like, we've never taken a deposit off someone. Yeah. If someone can't settle, I'll give you a deposit back. I don't care if I lose money.
Yeah.
But I'm not having you lose money. But that's someone's entire life savings. Like, don't get me wrong, $100,000 to me is still a lot of money.
Yeah.
But, for me, I can absorb that.
Yeah.
Like, we're a pretty significant business now. $100,000 here or there is not really going to change my life.
Yeah.
But if I take that off a single mum or a hardworking couple or anyone, man, just anyone who needs a break.
Yeah.
Like, man,
100 grand's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And like, you're going, cool, thanks very much for your 7-8 years of hard work.
Yeah.
And what am I going to use it on?
Yeah, I feel like it would do you a disservice anyway as well. Like,
it's bad for your brand.
No one will, you won't win in the long run if you have that sort of mindset. I did worry, like, when, I don't know about you, when you saw during the COVID, I saw a lot of people just lifting the prices up and they were kind of, it was almost Armageddon, like the way that a lot of these housing groups were going around and just house and land packages and whatnot. And like when we met, I had to express, like these were my concerns because, we're looking at buying some sections off of you. And like those things are still floating in people's back of their heads now, and that's 100%. Something you have to battle against.
Oh, 100%. And that's just, our philosophy has always been, is just leave a little bit on for the next guy, whether that's, the investor, the builder, the first home buyer. Let them make some money.
Yeah.
Let them make some equity. Because like I said to you when we were on site, you buy 4, you sell those 4 and you make good money. You're going to come back to me and buy another 4, if not 6, in the next stage.
Yeah.
And I don't have to think about it.
Or the next...
Whatever.
Yeah.
Or I ring you up and go, hey, I'm doing a development over here. Do you want to make some more money? And you go, well, I made such good money last time. What he told me was true. His pricing was 150,000, 100,000 under market value. It was great for us. We did really well.
Yeah.
100%. Because we've built that trust. We've built that relationship. But if I sold it to you at 100% of the market value and told you were going to make money and you didn't make $1, you'd be like,
well, that's the risk you took. Or,
that's the risk you took. Like, that's not my responsibility.
Yeah.
And obviously, I can't give financial advice.
Yeah.
But
this is not financial advice, guys.
100% FMA. I'm not offering any financial advice. But, for us, it's about just doing the right thing. And that's why, it was really important to Stephen to offer that our point of difference for that project was that he wanted it to be affordable.
Yeah.
Wanted it to be for the people, not just the rich farmer who's looking for a section who wants to build a $1.2 to $1.3 million finished product.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you talked about $1 million stuff up. Or whatever that was, like a problem, $1 million problem. I've actually got a question here. Like, what has been the one thing that's been the stickiest when it comes to chopping up land? Like there's that one thing that already just came to your mind that you had, that hurdle that you had to keep jumping over. Was it council mainly, or was it something in particular like getting sewage or anything sorted?
Oh, that's a good question. Generally, it's always council. Everything else can be mitigated.
Hmm.
Like I'm big on data drive. Like everything, every podcast, everything you ever see about me, I always talk about the data.
Yeah.
So everything I do, I always go into it with all of the information. The problem is it's the interpretation of the information. As an example, on the project in Taupo, had massive issues, fixed the issues, and then the council wanted to peer review the reports.
For their interpretation.
It took them 18 months. 18 months. It didn't take me 18 months to prepare the entire resource consent.
Crazy.
So then that burns, like that was
It was 18 months of holding costs, right?
holding costs.
And plus the resource consent costs.
And everything else. The contract was actually under contract. It wasn't settled, but that cost, that process cost an extra 1.2, 1.3 million.
Just an interest or?
No, just in the peer review.
Oh, wow.
Because we had to pay for all that. That's all paid for by the entity. So then what should have been a pretty simple, straightforward consent, then because of councils wanting to get peer review, and then they were like, oh, yeah, we agree. I'm like,
after you finally got the peer review across the line.
Yeah. And then they start trying to change the goalposts on you.
Yeah. And have you had that on any other sites, or is it just always some sort of...
Always something. Always something.
Yeah.
We were promised that we were going to get consent in December. We didn't get it until end of March.
Yeah.
For Te Awamutu. It's 3 months. And then what happens is we recycle that information onto vendors, investors, lenders. We've got to allocate that capital knowing it's going to be needed.
Yeah.
And then every month, the lender's going, we've got $17 million here with your name on it, and you need to take it because you're going to pay for it either way.
Yeah.
So we're getting pushed down. And then what happens is it just keeps pushing things back and back and back and back. And then what happened from the council not delivering in the December like they promised, was that we then got pushed to the winter works season. And if we couldn't settle, we couldn't start earthworks. And if we couldn't start earthworks, we couldn't get winter works. And if we couldn't get winter works, we weren't going to be able to start until September, October. And we were going to burn a lot of money. A lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't look at the interest payments.
Try to ignore it now. You want to keep that heart going, eh?
Just ignore it. It's cost of capital. You just don't look.
What's the lending process like compared to? Is it similar, or is it really in depth, or is it an equity based thing, or do you have to have experience? Because I know, like for the listeners, when I'm doing my development, for example, you can't really do it unless you have an experienced party. Like if you want to get a normal lending, like a construction loan for the development, and then also you need to be able to provide sales for to cover the development costs, or whether you have an equity amount in as well. I don't know, like is it any different with the
So I'm assuming you go through the banks?
Yeah. So I'm doing this one. I've done one before through second tier lending because they have less rules, as you probably know.
The best.
Yeah. Well, they cost a little bit more, but they're actually more free flowing, is the way I've sort of experienced.
I don't think they actually do when you work it out.
Yeah.
So we use second tier financing.
Yeah.
A lot of ours are based upon the asset. So we do all of our funding on it as complete, which basically means we have RCs, environmentals, EPAs, engineering consents, so that we can basically start on day one and finish. So then we go, here's the asset, here's the deal, here's how much money we need. This percentage is going towards total cost, and here's how much it's worth. So basically on a standard LVR.
Yeah.
Then they look at who the QS is, who the contractors are. Are they competent to be able to deliver the project? The developer, have you got experience in delivery of a project of scale?
Yeah.
And then sometimes they'll request that they put a private project manager over the top.
Oh, okay.
So that way they can mitigate the risk.
Yeah.
But you also pay for that
Yeah. They bake it in.
They
Yeah.
they bake it in all
They
right.
bake everything in.
But we sort of allow between 14.95 and 17% is kind of the cost of capital.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's project to project.
Yeah.
Like the one I just showed you, I put $175 in on a $6 million facility.
Yeah. Crazy. But that's the power of equity that I think a lot of people need to understand, right? Like having that
correct.
equity and leveraging against equity is a huge thing that a lot of people don't really think about. And, a lot of people have parents that are sitting on their $1 million houses paid off, but they're too scared to go and ask and see how much they can borrow against and allow them to go and invest or whatnot.
Yeah. Or like Michael Wilson's said, everyone, money follows a good deal, which is one of my sayings.
Yeah.
Which Michael stole. But also, everyone knows someone with money.
Yeah.
You've just got to go and ask. I went and asked. I ask all the fucking time. My investors get sick of me ringing them up asking for more money.
Yeah. Actually, I've got a question off of that. How many times have you been told no as well? Like, I want to talk about that because I'm going through, like, I finally got my lending and I think I calculated and I got told no from maybe 22 different like avenues. So like all the main banks, then got the blanket no, and then all of the brokers as well, and just going to them, dressing it up a bit different, trying to go back with a different one, like how many times have you been told no?
In my career?
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah. And that's something for people to listen to. Like thousands of times you've been told no. And did you listen?
No.
Yeah. No.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Even when I wasn't active, I would still fly to Auckland and I would still come and see the banks.
Yeah.
All the second tier guys. I used to go on my little circuit, and even if I had nothing to pedal, I'd still just go and say hi, just so they remember my face. So they still just knew who I was. We built that relationship over time, so that when we did come back, I could touch that door, and it was a lot easier. Now I don't get told no so much.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
One is because of the equity thing, because I can grab on, the trust position's pretty strong. I'm not gonna.
That you built up,
over a huge amount of time.
Yeah.
Which is great. But I also know what constitutes a good deal now. And I know horses for courses. So I know that if I have a deal like the one I showed you as I came in, I know that I can put the screw on him a wee bit because I know what they will do.
Yeah.
And I know that I can modify terms, maybe take a little bit of a higher pre-sale trigger to get less equity in. So then, I have to go get a pre-sale, but I don't really view that as being a big deal. Yeah. Again, because of relationships that I have to networks of people that will buy them as investor stock. But at the start, just so many times. Yeah. So many times.
Yeah. I don't think people understand how much, how the difficulty is almost baked into your beginning of building yourself up, right? And you just gotta, when you break through, you think you've broken through, and there's still more to come, but I feel like you're probably there and I'm going through it. And I don't think it's never going to end for me. Like you're saying, you can get to a position where you know what a good deal is, but you're still, if you wanted to go to the next level, that's...
It depends. You're only limited by how far you want to push and what your risk threshold is.
Yeah.
I'm probably tapping on the edge of mine.
Yeah.
I'm not losing sleep, but I definitely don't get a good night's sleep. But it really comes down to how far you want to grow.
Yeah.
And, I keep pushing back to him because he's probably the most accurate person to really reference at the moment. You look at guys like Michael.
Yeah.
And they're going out to the public and saying, hey, I can help you to make 50 or 150,000 a year. And he's fucking not wrong. He can. And it's not unrealistic. Like, you can top up your income by 50 to 150,000 a year by just following some stuff that he tells you how to do.
Yeah.
But you could also make 1.5 million.
Yeah.
You could make 5 million. you could make 10 million. Just what's your risk? How many times
Yeah.
are you willing to throw the dice?
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, I threw them, and a lot of times I didn't throw sixes. Like I've had as many failures as I have successes.
Well, like, did you get fully well, you weren't stripped completely, but that all of that stuff happening to you,
I got wiped.
yeah, wiped, and then almost back to square one, sort of
Basically
thing.
back to square one.
With all the knowledge.
But yeah, and I just took my knowledge.
Yeah.
And I was lucky. I had a close group of really good friends who
That's awesome.
supported me mentally as much as financially when I needed investors to help me get back on top, knowing that they knew that I'd get access back to everything that I had in the past. So they were fine. Everything was secured. But
they still had to.
But someone's got to believe.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing in this industry is that, and I've said it to my current girlfriend, is that all property developers do is I see something and I just have to make everybody else believe it. Because if I can speak it, it's real.
Yeah.
And I just have to find enough people who believe that thing can be real.
Yeah.
Banks, consultants, investors,
clients.
Yep. You know, perfect example. You show up, we've got a half demo farm shed.
Yeah.
And diggers and stuff on site, and you've got to sit there and try and go, hey, well, here's the plan.
Yeah.
Here's what it's going to look like. Here's how we want it to be.
Mm.
Here's how our values are as a development company. Hopefully they align with your values.
Yeah.
And then you have to believe in me.
Yeah.
Probably more than a builder.
Yeah. Well, because that was part of my hardest things to get across was when I was selling new builds in real estate. Was you kind of had to go, here's a piece of paper, here's the plan, and then you got to try and sell them that vision, you know. And I would say that's on a grand scale with the land, because you got all of these rolling hills and whatnot, and you go like, see that little patch over there?
That's yours.
That's your little patch.
Yeah, and it looks like nothing now. At least with a subdivision that's completed, they can stand on it.
Yeah.
But again, it comes back to that thing, like I was saying, like for me, it's for the relationships, and I want to build clients who believe.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in working with anybody now who doesn't believe in the dream.
Yeah, well, like you're blessed enough, I think, to be in that position that you can actually go, okay, sweet, you're not in, I don't care. Like, I'm on this trajectory. You coming with, or I'm gone.
Yeah, and I live by that. And my partners and projects and people in my life know that when I say it, I fucking mean it. Like,
nice.
I do not give a fuck. Like, I've had to build. It comes from having to create my own resilience. I've been told no so many times. I was told I was crazy.
Yeah.
So many times. I was told when I was a kid at primary school, they were like, what do you want to be when you're older? I'm like, I'm going to be a millionaire.
And they laughed at
you. Impossible. And they laughed. They said, it's impossible, not from where you're from. And they rang my mum and told her, you need to tell your kid to pull his head in. And full respect to my mother, she's always been the one to self-promote me and taught me a lot about mental health coping skills, and taught me to mental health courses, and taught me to read the books, and, the millionaire mindset, and all about those things to get your head in the right place. And she stood up. She's like, if that's what he says he's going to be, that's what he's going to be. And I'm not going to tell him no.
No, wicked.
And then,
was your mum's single mum?
Yep.
Yeah, like that's hard. Like, I feel like a lot of the kids, they get cut off at the knees, they're going to just get told, and this is your system. What was my one? I got told I was going to just be, I don't know, was it a PE teacher or something, like, when they did the careers where they would go and put you into this basket, and I was something, I can't remember exactly, but it was something I was like, that is nowhere near. It's like, if anything, I was probably going to go down building, because my dad's always been a builder. I've grown up, I was like, I'm going to be, I wanted to be an architect. That's what I wanted to be when I was younger, and they laughed at me because you got to be smart to be an architect. And I was just like, it's that I've
met plenty of dumb architects.
Me too. Fuck.
Not mine. Mine's the best.
Yeah. Do you have any final words? I reckon I would love to get you back on, but any final words for someone, like some advice for people that are, hey, maybe having some health issues or going through some tough times. There's shit that you've been through, man.
I think you've just got to realize that today's not tomorrow. And although, everything's a muscle, and yeah, like you go to the gym, you pick up heavy weights, it hurts, and it's okay to hurt, and it's okay to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
But you can go home, you can go in your room, you can sit down, you can reflect, you can be upset, but you've just got to keep showing up, and eventually it gets better. I've had some terrible times, and we'll talk about it at a different time, but
yeah,
you've just got to keep going because you do break through. I've had it. Trust me. I can tell some horrific stories.
Well, we're definitely going to get you back on, mate. Like,
but yeah,
I don't know if you want to dive into those though.
Oh no, I definitely more than happy to. Yeah, and if there's anyone that wants to learn about property, they want to come and shadow a developer. You live in Auckland. You want to get some advice. You want to bring me a deal. You want to make some money.
Yeah.
Hit me up. Hit me up on Instagram. Come and find me.
Definitely hit you up on Instagram because like that was quite helpful when you did that Q&A. Like there was a few good questions in there, and you got a lot of knowledge I think a lot of people could learn from. And not only that, you're at least a person that's willing to help people and actually share that knowledge.
Correct.
Which I think that's a huge thing, and that's why I was super keen to get you on. But yeah, thanks for coming on, bro.
No, I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Cheers,
Thanks
bro.
for listening, guys.